Goldman, and then Mary Rushfield.
Can I ask for extra time?
I'm afraid not, we have so many speakers tonight.
Well, I have 4 chits following me, and they're willing to donate their time.
Staff? Ask for their advice.
In reviewing the rules of order, there's no provision to donate time. However, by majority vote, this body can grant any public speaker additional time.
I propose we grant an extra 2 minutes.
Second that. Any other discussion on that? Board member Griffin? No. Okay. You seconded it, right? Yeah. So all in favor of that, an extra 2 minutes to Mr. Goldman?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So you can have
Well,
4
if
minutes.
that's for the 4 chits, then I won't do it. They'll speak for themselves.
Okay. Then go ahead for 2 minutes.
My name is Ron Goldman, 1717 Montana. This first diagram illustrates the massiveness of the new design. There's nothing this massive in Santa Monica. This second diagram illustrates the upper 2 buildings, the blue and the red and the white, are only half as long as 2 of the buildings in this project. On the East Village, buildings A and B will be twice as long as what you're looking at in those upper 2 photos. This project is massive. And 44% of the open space is now covered, as the lower photo on the left suggests. This diagram, number 1, shows your concerns, how your concerns and the Planning Commission's concerns could have been dealt with by just omitting 10 units and simply breaking the project into 4 buildings. That's simple. Number 2 shows more than 44% reduction in space that's open to the sky. Number 3 shows the setbacks that vary more than 20% from the code required setbacks and shadows covering neighbors across the street. Number 4 shows the massiveness of Building A compared to the previous design. Not only the length, but in height, 4 stories instead of 5. Number 5 shows the loss of the primary public open space at the intersection of the 2 public streets, which the Planning Commission specifically added as a community benefit, and now is covered over by 4 stories of building. And number 6 compares the amount of usable space open to the sky. And if we could just leave this up, this 5th diagram spells out 9 substantially inferior design modifications that will be addressed by one of the later speakers.
Good evening. Taffy Patten, Chair of the Residents Coalition. You have great power and therefore great responsibility to ensure that developments contribute to our city's beauty, harmony, taste, and spaciousness. Sadly, this development does none of these things. In fact, rather than being a minor modification, the latest proposal is significantly different than the proposed DA. City Council and the Rent Control Board approved 51 affordable units. The remaining 38 units may be the bare legal minimum. However, these units are pushed to the very end of the site. This doesn't constitute equal distribution, much less social equality. The project is 57 feet high in Colorado, 57 feet adjacent to 1- and 2-story homes. Colors and porous buildings won't keep existing neighbors from feeling overwhelmed by looming structures that block sky. In New York City, pale kids play in dark alleys. Santa Monica kids deserve much better. Long covered courtyards, shadowed playgrounds aren't open space. In this project, open space, landscaping, and sunlight have been dramatically reduced, and affordable units have been minimized and hidden. This development is a major modification of a DA. It does not contribute to our city's reputation of spaciousness and beauty, and it should not be approved. Thank you very much for listening.
I'm Jane W. Kohler. I live at 634 21st Street, and I'm here to represent the NOMA board, in regard to Ron Goldman's letter of October 19th. We support his position, and so I will read a portion of that letter to you. Section 2.431, any variation in the design, massing, or building configuration, including but not limited to floor area and building height that renders such aspects out of substantial compliance with the project after ARB approval. Section 2.43J, these are any change that would materially reduce the community benefits that's set forth in sections 2.6. 2.6 includes significant project features and loose community benefits. The fifth goal of the loose community benefits states, does the project adversely impact or enhance the current or future open space and community gathering space, end quote. And uncovered open space has been reduced by 44%, and the resulting width of the courtyards are slot-like, canyons-like spaces with landscape and children's play areas in shadow, most, if not all, day. And the public outdoor park at the corner of New Road in Pennsylvania, specifically added by the Planning Commission, is now covered space with 4 stories of building above. Again, of the 5 priority categories of community benefits in the loose, number 3 is the community physical improvements, additional ground level open space and trees. Again, open space, landscape, and sunlight have all been reduced by 44%.
Jasmin Diaz?
You are not charged with reviewing what the Planning Commission has approved. This is not what they approved. They have not reviewed these changes. This project has been totally redesigned. This redesigned project has not been before the Planning Commission or City Council. So it is up to you alone to determine that this redesigned project meets the LUCE standards and meets your standards. You have the right to say the height on Colorado, the open space inadequate, the revision to the main public space at the new street intersection is not acceptable. The increased length of buildings on the west and east not acceptable. Truly a travesty of both process and product. I and community would greatly appreciate your recognizing this and a minimum rework this design, or otherwise just don't approve and send it back to Planning Commission. And finally, let me remind you that each apartment needs to have a separate water meter, and the added space should not further reduce the already minimum area open to the sky. Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight I have some concerns regarding this new project at the Village Trailer Park. My first concern is about the structural integrity of the buildings. Considering the property is so close to the southern branch of the Santa Monica Fault. I have provided 2 maps for you to view. The first is the Village Trailer Park's geological hazard map, with the southern branch of the Santa Monica Fault removed from the map. In comparison to the second map, the City of Santa Monica's geological hazard map, where the southern branch of the Santa Monica Fault runs quite close to the property. So which map is being used? Making my real concern be, are the buildings structurally safe enough? Are the specific seismic requirements being taken to ensure the building safety? Another point I'd like to bring to your attention is on the city's geological hazard map, you can clearly see that at least half of the property is at high risk of liquefaction. And again, please note how close the fault line is to the property. On that thought would be my next concern. And looking at the picture for this project, you see parts of the building being supported by poles in the ground, which looks quite similar to carports. And if carports were found to be unsafe in earthquakes, why would you allow part of a building to be constructed in this manner, especially so close to a fault line? Finally, in looking at this item's staff report on the internet, the only EIR mentioned was from 2007, which I find very interesting considering the last EIR for this property was approved in 2010 or 2012. I do hope you can understand my concern.
I think the loose provides for many ways in which for us to look at what Santa Monica might become, and the path that we're on. I know that one part of the loose is certainly about preserving open space, and it is about livability, and it is about sustainability, but part of the loose is also about where do we place density in the city, because density is an inevitability. So I think that that was part of the discussion process all through the loose, and I just want to remind people that there's the complexity of the choices that are made in the city around where density occurs and where it doesn't, and there are going to be borders, against which those two elements come up against each other, and I think this area of the city has some of those borders around it.
Yeah, I concur on both in regards to my appreciation for the community discussion, and also in regards to the fact that we're only here to review the 2 courtyard elevations that we looked at, and specifically the new design of the variation in the guardrail and the landscape, and I think that both have been improved since we talked last, so I'm supportive of the project.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out and sharing their opinions. Unfortunately, as other people have mentioned, we've already approved most of this project, and we're just looking at a few small items, so most of the things that were discussed are actually not before us tonight. But thank you for coming out anyway. We always appreciate hearing from the community.